Welcome to the Christian Indie Writers Podcast, where we inform, encourage, and support Christian indie writers on a journey toward publication. I'm Jamie Hirschberger. Oh, no, wait a minute. No, I'm not Jamie Hirschberger. I'm Rhonda Hagerman, and I write under the pen name Dee Bowman, and I write fiction and nonfiction.
I'm Jennifer Carl Tong, and I write historical Christian romance.
I'm Christina Catane, and I write multiple genres, including Christian dystopian fiction.
I'm Jamie Hirschberger, and I forgot to change the outline until Rhonda was trying to read it live on the show. Like, literally, I'm in the outline, clicking cut and paste and moving everything because I forgot Rhonda literally reads it. Like, the rest of us are like, oh, hi, everyone, welcome and everything. And I'm like, oh, no. And so I'm in there quickly trying to, like, put her name. And so she busted me. Yeah. Way to go, Rhonda.
I saw you highlighting stuff, so I had to.
I'm curious, like next week, I know we're going to have a special guest and we're going to talk about strengths, but I'm really curious about like your strengths, Rhonda, and how it affects, like, because you do that. Like you're very much, and you were so focused on getting like the words just right that like you read Jamie's name without realizing, wait, that's not my name. Oh, we got a lot of chat going on. Good morning, Teresa. Glad to have you here. Shell says that she's here as well. And Piper. Hi, Piper. Barbara Bauk. Hey, Barb. And Gigi. Lots of people. We have lots of viewers, few people chatting. If you are watching right now, please join the chat. We'd love to meet you.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's talk about what's up. What's up with you, Jamie?
Well, what's up with me is that my oldest child turns 17 today.
Oh, wow.
Happy birthday to my little Jaybird. She has an Instagram account that I want to shout out to everyone because I am the proudest mom in the world. Her Instagram is @thoughtfulbirds. And she writes poetry on there that is just so good. And I know I'm her mom and I'm going to braggity brag, but it's her birthday. And so I'm going to give her little account a shout out. It's @thoughtfulbirds. Head over there and read some really good poetry and send her some likes or something. And don't tell her it's a birthday present. Just kidding. You'll certainly like some. Yeah, it goes, but her nickname is Jaybird. Her grandfather gave her that nickname. And for her poetry account. Isn't that smart? She's a little cutie, and happy birthday to her. That's my what's up. Oh, Shell's youngest has a birthday today also.
Aww.
Wow. Birthday buddies. My daughter almost was born after midnight, though. So she almost didn't get to have today as her birthday.
Well, lucky her.
Yes.
Tina, tell us what's up.
Well, today's kind of an exciting day for me. Something significant happened, but I am going to refer you to my sprint for today to find out what that was.
Ooh, interesting.
Ooh.
And also, I just wanted to share this because I thought it was interesting. I think I was scrolling on Facebook. Somewhere in the Ethernet, I saw this discussion about people that have writer's block. If they switch their font to Comic Sans, it suddenly goes away. And
because they get disgusted and they say, why am I using this font?
I don't know. Like, there's a scientific study that like explains why that works, but I didn't read the actual study. I was supposed to be working at the time.
Yeah.
Well, I was supposed to be working at my paying job at the time, so I just kind of like, okay, I'll have to just bookmark it and read it later. But I just thought that was interesting. Has anyone ever tried that? And there was a whole bunch of comments. It had to have been Facebook because there was like 77 comments of people saying, yeah, I did that. I hate Comic Sans, and I was so mad when it worked. Like those were the comments.
Piper says she saw that. She saw it as well.
Okay, so
you love Comic Sans.
I don't have a problem with Comic Sans in the right application. I
Piper,
like
Piper, are you a kindergarten teacher by any chance?
So that's my what's up.
Yeah. All right. I guess I'll go next. So my sister-in-law was down here in Florida for the last week, and my mother-in-law will be 90 next week, and she'll be 90 next month. But her daughter will not be here at that time. So we had a little cocktail party for her last night. And it was so fun partying with these women. Okay, so I was the youngest by 20 years. And it just went up from there. So these women do not waste time because they don't have a lot of time left, maybe. I don't know. But they are the best partiers. And it was all over, and I was back at my place by 8 p.m.
That's
and
the best.
the whole evening. And anyway, that was just so much fun. My mother-in-law is just a really fun woman. I just adore her. So that's my what's up. I'm still glowing from last night, I guess. Jennifer, what about you?
All right. Before I say my what's up, we have a little bit of an echo. I can hear it, and I've discovered that it's Tina. So Tina, I don't know if you're plugged in all the way, or if you could try to figure that out for us. So my what's up is I don't know what my what's up is. Like before we started, Jamie said, "Well, we've got time to think about our what's up. Don't forget to do that." I'm like, "Oh yeah, my life's so not interesting." She goes, "That's not true," and I'm like, "It kind of is. Like every week is kind of the same, but I'm okay with that." Just been homeschooling and working on editing. So yeah, I don't know. Today, my girls and I are going to drive down to Metro Detroit so we can go through the drive-through of Chick-fil-A. That's my what's up. Like we don't have Chick-fil-A near us, so we have to drive about 40 minutes to Metro Detroit, and it's worth it to just spend the time in the car with my girls and get us some grilled chicken nuggets. And yeah, that's my what's up. It's not very exciting, but I'm excited. I can't wait for us to be done here so we can go.
Well, really, for winter in Michigan, that's kind of a big what's up.
Yeah, true. I have 4-wheel drive, so I usually it's not storming right now. If it was storming, I wouldn't even do that. But like the weather's fine, and even if I hit a little snow, I'm good. So,
Yep.
That's interesting that we all have a skill that might be admirable to someone who grew up in the desert. We all can drive in inclement weather. Do you know what I mean? Like we're bad A's to some people out there. You can drive in the snow? Yeah, I can. Like a boss. You know what I mean? Anyway, that's fun.
My brother's a truck driver, and for a few years he lived in New Mexico, and his boss called him and was like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "I'm running my routes." And he's like, "We closed everything down. Like there's a storm." And my brother's like, there was like a dusting. And he's like, "No, I got this. I'm good." And like they were freaking out. And his boss is like, "I will pay you for the day if you come back with my truck and park it." He was so worried that my brother was going to wreck his truck that he paid my brother for the whole day. And my brother's like, "All right." So he took it back. He's like, "It was nothing." But they're just, if you're not used to it, then it would be different. But all right, we got some what's up going on in our chat. Piper says that she got her first COVID shot and was so exhausted just one day. Haven't gotten much writing done, but I think I figured out my block and started this morning. Was it Comic Sans?
Yeah.
Teresa says her what's up, wrote my business plan. Yay.
Hey.
And have been doing behind the scenes stuff for my what's next.
Can't wait to hear. Yeah. What's that?
And for Shell, she says, hit the deadline for the arc that she's reading.
Yeah, girl. Crush those
every
goals,
day.
Girl.
That's awesome.
Can't say that. I can't say that. Did you all write every day?
I did not this week. I did editing. I decided that I was going to flip and just focus on getting this book edited instead of trying to. But I did some writing, but yeah.
Shell's showing us all up.
Yep. Congratulations, Shell.
Yep. Well, speaking of, Teresa is way ahead of us already because we're going to be talking about. So we wrote our business plans, and now we have to put them into use. So what do we do now?
Yeah,
we are going to set some goals. So, would anybody like to discuss why they are not good at setting goals in the past?
Oh, because I think I can do more than I can actually do. So my goals are generally really overly inflated and ridiculous. But to me, when I make them, they look like, totally doable. I cannot wait for this year. I have these great goals. And then no, I can't write 12 books a year. Some people can. I cannot. Not that that wasn't one of my goals, but that's my biggest problem is I over goal myself.
Right. I think myself, I try to make goals as if I lived in an ideal world where everything was going to go according to plan. And so I overshoot as well.
For me, I'm horrible at meeting my goals. I always have been, like all my life. And so I was doing some research because, that's kind of what I do. And refer to next week for that one. Anyway, I was reading about there's two categories of goals. There's action-oriented goals and there's outcome-oriented goals or results-oriented. And there were a lot of articles on the internet that said that the results-oriented goals were better and you should forget about the action ones. And the more I thought about it and the more I researched it, I don't agree with that.
Why not?
decided I don't agree with that because I think that that they can work together. So for instance, an action-oriented goal is I'm going to write from 10 to 12 every day, Monday through Friday. That's an action-oriented goal. Results-oriented goal is I am going to write a book this year. Or if you want to pare it down to more specific, so like we have this business plan, and I said in my business plan, I want to write a book this year. So maybe I want to finish the rough draft this quarter. That's a results-oriented goal, but I need action-oriented goals to reach my results. And so the results kind of stay static. This is what I want. I want to finish my rough draft the first quarter. And in order to do that, I need to write every day from 10 to 12. But that doesn't really work for me because Tuesdays we have a business meeting and Fridays we have the podcast. And so then I'm only writing 3 days a week. So I needed to change that action-oriented goal to I'm going to write 2 hours a day instead of a specific time to work for me in my life for my schedule. And so I think having a results-oriented goal that's static, that you know this is where you want to be, it's awesome. But then I think you need the action-oriented goals to reach your results. And so that's what I decided my opinion was.
I would say then that our business plan is serving as that. I've already confused the two terms. The long-term static goal that doesn't change in your example would be your business plan. And now what we're going to talk about today are the actionable goals, right? Like, is that fair to say, Tina, or am I misunderstanding what you're presenting?
I guess it would be fair to say that if in your business plan you discussed what you were going to do each quarter. Like for me, I'm going to break down my goals into quarters. And then I'm going to make action goals based on what I want to achieve that quarter.
Right.
Oh yeah, my operations is very detailed, so I know exactly. You know what I'm saying?
Mine's kind of like this is what I want to do this year. I didn't really.
Oh, okay.
Break it down that much.
Yeah, so. That's what the operations section was for, though, isn't it, Rhonda? Or am I wrong?
Well, yes, but I just realized I would love to compare the 4 of our business plans when they're all complete and how we want them. And compare them to our Clifton strengths at some point. Oh, see?
I'm not on board with that. But I mean, I get what you're saying. Yeah. Compared to our Clifton strengths, they're going to look all different for sure.
You're right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So everything that Tina was saying, like I can vibe with some of that. Back in December, I was listening to one of the Joanna Penn podcasts, and she had, let me get the woman's name right, Jessie Kwak maybe, on her show, who's written a book called From Chaos to Creativity. And I listened to that podcast because I do feel like often that it is chaos in my life. My life just feels like chaos. And one of the things that she said, and Piper is saying this too, she's like, because life happens and I push my deadlines out. That is 100% me. I feel like my life implodes and then my writing career implodes. And one of the things that Jessie mentioned was that when you make your goals, you should do them for every quarter. Don't do them for the year. And that was one of my problems. I did it for a whole year. And if I do it a quarter, I can actually look at what can I really do in 12 weeks? 52 weeks sounds like I can do a whole lot. But what can I really do in these next 3 months? And I get much more realistic. But then she said, when you can only really have 5 actionable goals, but in those goals, it can't just be your career. Like you got to put your life things in there too, which I never thought about, because those are part of the things you are doing, and that will creep in. And if you don't plan for life events like me, like I knew my aunt was passing away and I didn't plan for that. I still had all this like things I was going to accomplish. And if I'd been more realistic, I probably wouldn't have gotten so bogged down with it. Go ahead, Jamie.
Oh, that's all right. I'm not sure where we're at here on the outline. And we're
still just discussing why we don't meet our goals.
Okay. Then I'll wait.
Okay.
Okay. So, Tina, you painted a really great word picture the other day with your dartboard analogy, and that was helpful. So does that still fit with your opinion of goals? And if it does, would you explain it?
Well, I think so. I mean, I kind of discovered that I was making all these action-oriented goals, but I didn't have a target. And so I didn't really know, like I knew vaguely where I was going with it, but to have a specific target at the end of the quarter, this is where I want to be, I think is going to make the difference. Now, this is just me analyzing myself, so we'll have to see if it works, right?
Mhm.
But the idea of the dartboard is you have a bullseye, and then you have concentric circles around it. And as long as you hit the dartboard, you've made progress, but your goal is to hit the bullseye.
But you still cheer yourself on when you hit the target at all, right?
Right.
So I think that's a great analogy, because sometimes I would beat myself up when I don't hit the little red circle, not realizing that, look at me, look at what I've done, right?
Mhm.
So it's a great analogy.
Yeah. Okay, so we have made our business plans and now we're making goals. So how do we use it to set our goals? Jamie, how are you doing yours?
Well, with my order, whatever, what is it called? Order of operations, something like that. In the business plan is the spot where you're supposed to plug in what you're going to do and when you're going to do it, which is the part that was the worst for me to actually sit down and write, because it kind of just aggravated me, because I just want to do it. I don't want to write down what I'm going to do, right? But when I set goals, I try to do SMART goal setting, which I learned in the corporate world, which I never can remember what the little letters stand for all the time. But I can remember them enough of the time to where I'm happy with, when I set a goal, my progress toward them. So I know for sure that the S stands for specific. You have to have a specific goal. I am going to finish this chapter. Then it has to be measurable, one chapter or 900 words I will write. Like, there has to be a way to measure the goal. Then it has to be, I don't remember, I think it's attainable. I put it in the transatlantic group as a note to myself. So I'm going over there to look at it. Yeah, attainable. That's Jen's thing there. Work toward a goal that is challenging but possible. Don't try to take over the world in one night. Then R is for realistic, which to me, attainable and realistic, I think, are the same. And that's why I have a hard time remembering the R and the A. And then time bound. You have to have a deadline. Like, well, I just didn't get around to it. Like, don't allow yourself to, like, if you really are serious about that time, it really helps about the attainable. Because if you really think about what can I do in 1 hour, or what can I do before Friday, instead of like, oh, before Friday, I'm going to build the Taj Mahal. It, like, the time always helps me. If I focus on how much time do I really have to get this done. And I love this little handy guideline that I learned. And so I post it in the Transatlantic Facebook group. And it's basically, you can find GIFs about it all over the place, or memes, or whatever they're called. SMART, just like the word smart. It's very common. I didn't make it up. It's everywhere. Check it out.
For me, I'm going to do things different than I'm going to try to do things differently. Now that I've been introduced to a business plan, then my goal is, well, one of my goals is to measure everything by my business plan. So when I'm going to set up goals, like I said earlier, I'm going to do it just for the quarter. I'm not going to do for a whole year. And I'm going to make sure that I put life goals into that, and things that I know are going to happen, like homeschooling. Like, I have to put part of the homeschooling, like what I'm doing with my kids, it has to be part of my plan, because it does not interfere. That's not the right word. It does affect it. They have to work together, because that's my life right now, you know? And then, if there's something that comes up that I want to set as a goal, but it's not my business plan, then I'm going to have to make myself rewrite my business plan. Like, I need to use that business plan to keep myself on track. So that is what is how I'm going to use my business plan. Use it as my guide. And if anything pops up, I either have to say no to it. Nope, it's not in the business plan. Nope, that would get me off track. Nope, that's not going to work for me this year. Or I have to go back to the business plan and rewrite it if it's that important to me. And I think that will help me weed things out, because it would be work to go back to the business plan and rewrite it, right? So it better be something pretty important for me to go back and do that. So I think that will help me weed out things that just become like weights on me that I think I can do too much. And I need to stop doing that to myself.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. I need to use my business plan to prioritize. And my thing is, I love to just like go watch lectures. like last night while I was working, I have a job that's really boring and repetitive, and so there's these tasks that I have to do, and the tasks were not loading, and so then I just have to click this button that says did not load and hit submit, and so I had 3 hours of that. So in order to keep myself from falling asleep, I usually turn something on to watch while I'm doing it, and so I was watching Brandon Sanderson from Brigham Young University give a lecture on world building in sci-fi and fantasy. So, and that's the kind of stuff that I like to do. Like, I just love to watch that kind of stuff. And so, but I think my business plan is going to focus me. Like, I think that's what my business plan is going to do. It's going to focus my goals and focus what I decide to use my time on, because I could just go out and learn all kinds of stuff that I don't need right now for what I want to accomplish this year.
Teresa says, it helped me stop to realize I'm trying to do a lot right now. So instead of beating myself up, I need to step back and make sure I don't let one thing completely override everything else. It's very good. Like if the business plan helps you to have a game plan, a game plan to, like, it's easy for me to like feel like when I'm working in something, I feel like I am letting something else in my life down. When I'm down here working, I often feel like I'm letting my kids down. When I'm doing homeschooling with my kids, I feel like I'm not giving the time to my career that I should be. Like that is a cycle for me, where my business plan is going to tell me these are the things that I'm going to do. I segment my time. I have my goals. And so I'm going to let go of that guilt when I'm going to give the attention that my career needs in the time I've allotted. And then if I don't get done what I think I can get done in that time, okay.
It wasn't meant to be done then.
It wasn't meant to be done then. And I move on to the next thing. So, and I move on to my next part of my life. I move on to the homeschooling. And
see, and then you had permission to do what you love and permission to do what needs to be done. And everything can be happy and peaceful. And you don't have to be fighting yourself all the time. Good for you.
Moment of transparency too. I've not completely finished my business plan. I'm still writing it out. But it's been so helpful. But I just had a thought. Something that I don't have in my business plan and I think I need to is self-care. I'm the worst at self-care. I take care of everybody else and I ignore me. You guys know that. How many times have you guys gotten after me because I'm like, yeah, I need to go to the doctor. And you're like, go to the doctor. Like, so I think I need to probably put there somewhere in there that I will like take time for myself, take time for exercise, take time to get away and just like spend a day by myself, things like that. So that's just that's a little seed I'm planting for everybody else too. That if you feel the Lord nudging you right now, maybe that's something you need to put in your business plan too. So
yeah, that's very helpful. I'll be using my business plan because I'm a very time block person. The sprints are good for me to do the little 20-minute blocks or 25-minute blocks. But when I'm actually working, I need to have a bigger chunk of time because I get distracted so easily. It's just easier for me to get one job done and then move on to the next one. So I hyper focus on that one thing. And my business plan is going to help me write these goals because if I'm not thinking about financials right now, I won't make a financial goal. Or, if I'm obsessed with getting a book done by the end of the year, then I won't think about the social media I need to do or everything else that surrounds it besides just that one thing I'm concentrating on. So that is how it's going to help me with my goals. But long-term goals are very important to me. And I'll give you one example in life. 4 or 5 years ago, I started trying to plant a seed in my husband's head that we needed to spend more time down here with his mom in Florida. With his mom. I mean, yeah. And I thought, if we could just spend a month down here, that would be great. And I thought, you know what? That'll be my 5-year long-term goal for that. And guess what? That was only 4 years ago. And I'm down here way longer than I thought it would be. And it's wonderful. And that was because I had that in my focus. I didn't know how I was going to accomplish it, but I knew I was going to keep working toward it. And it just actually kind of fell in my lap. So that's why I like long-term, but
right. Piper is saying, Jen, it sounds like you're doing a life plan more than a business plan. And I want to bring that up now because you're kind of like what you're saying is similar to what I was saying. I don't know what a life plan is, but all I know is that the very beginning of this, us planning doing our business plans, we said from the very beginning that our business plans need to serve us and will be individual to where we are in our careers. And so my business plan isn't going to look like anyone else's. So maybe a person would think, no, that's my business plan. I'm not putting anything personal in there. But I know I can look back on the past 3 years of my career and I can see how my personal life imploded my business plan. So I need to at least try this out. I need to have my business plan also incorporate, this is what will happen when life happens. So I don't know, but that's my business plan.
And I agree because I have like this whole church thing as a pastor's wife going on, and I teach the Bible study. I'm in charge of the tech and all that stuff. And so I need to include that when I'm planning out my time. Like maybe it's not going to be in the same business plan with my book business, but I need to have a plan like, okay, this is when I'm working on my book. This is when I'm doing church stuff. This is when I'm doing homeschool stuff. And this is when I'm cleaning the house. So that all those things can have time to get done.
All right.
Right. So Jen, can you talk to us about some short-term goals?
Okay. So because I'm going to do like the 12-week thing. So for me right now, to be very specific, my short-term goals are I'm going to finish editing A Calling for Phoebe by the end of February. I'm hoping to do it beforehand, but I want to be realistic. I am going to then I'm going to go back to my writing and editing, kind of a back and forth, where I am working on my Christmas novel, as well as editing book 4, Sarah's book, which is finished but needs to be edited. So those are my short-term goals right now for writing. I don't have any publishing goals right now. I don't have any marketing goals right now. My goals right now, because for these 12 weeks, are just that. Which this is why I love not doing for a whole year, because in a whole year, I have this pressure. Like, I feel like, all right, I need to decide when I'm going to be releasing these books and I need to decide what money I'm going to be spending on this, blah, blah, blah. That's business plan. That's going to be kind of like long-term stuff. But right now I can just hyper focus on getting these things done without getting overwhelmed by all the other things that are coming later in the year. I can worry about that later in the year. Right. So that's my short-term goals right now. I'm hyper focused on finishing this edit so I can move on to the next edit and finishing the writing of this first contemporary book.
Okay. Are you doing any long-term goals at all?
Yeah. So long-term goals are, I have all these other series that I want to do. So I have not only long-term goals as far as writing, like, so I want to outline the sports romance that I have bubbling around in my head and finish outlining the other 2 books of my Widows of the West. So right there, I would have 6 books. Those outlines, that's long-term. On top of that, I have had Mark Dawson's ads for writers course for almost 2 years now. I've not even looked at it. So that's a long-term goal, is for me to do that course. And long-term, even beyond that, is I want to be balancing my writing with marketing and get my books, advertising behind my books to actually get out in people's eyes. Right now, I'm still in the stage of just get the books out there, and have a few books out there. Then I'll turn to marketing and advertising. And so those are my long-term goals. But right now, I'm not thinking about that. I'm only focusing on finishing the series.
Okay. Let me respond to Piper real quick. Okay. I did mention that business plan is something you take to the bank. Now, in the corporate world, when you need to go get money from a bank insists that you have a business plan and show them how you're going to use the money. According to the SBA, the Small Business Association, there are 2 different types of plans. There's that one, the complex one, and then there's the lean business plan, which could be 5 sentences on a sheet of paper. It's one that you use for your internal processes and so that you know what's going on. It's really for your eyes only, not really for the bank. And that's what we did. The 4 of us did for this, because we're not looking for financing or anything.
For Your Eyes Only is an amazing song that I will not bust into singing right now because it would blow our ears out.
You might as well, because
it's an amazing song. Yeah.
Only because we're live. If we were just doing office hours, we would all be being serenaded right now by Jamie. 100%.
Yep. Okay. Does anybody have anything else to say or ask about goals?
Well, I was just going to say my short-term and long-term goals are very similar to Jen's. I know that I want to have a rough draft of book 2 done at the end of the quarter 1, and I'm going to start quarter 1 on February 1st, instead of January 1st, and that's how I'm going to measure my year. And instead of the goal of I'm going to be in office hours from 10 to 12 every day, and that's what I'm going to write, I'm going to make a goal of writing 1,000 words a day, 6 days a week. And so that way I'm not limited. So if I have that goal, then I won't, like, in my mind, I'm like, okay, it's 12, I don't have to write anymore. But if I have 1,000 word goal, then I will do the work till it's done.
Is office hours still your operations? Or are you going to skip out on that, or is that going to be optional?
I'm still going to come to office hours, but I just can't use that in my goal setting.
Yeah.
Because sometimes office hours is something other than writing.
Yeah.
And I need to be writing if I'm going to have a rough draft done in 90 days.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was kind of thinking the same, Tina. I was thinking about, writing at 8 o'clock and then writing until office hours and then starting the office hours party after that.
The office hours party. It's a party because I'm not there.
Hardly. It's quiet when you're not there. No offense.
I thought about doing that too, Rhonda, but I'm just not a morning person.
Yeah.
And I can't get my creative juices going until after 10. Just doesn't work for me.
And this is not about changing who you are, is it, Jen?
Yeah. Because that's such a great point, because I really wanted to split my day in half and then, come in and write in the morning, and then mid-morning start the homeschooling, and then afternoon spend doing the things I need to do around my house for my family, cook dinner, whatever, and then come back in the evening and spend an hour or two editing. I am not an evening person. No matter what I try, I really try to maybe even have an evening coffee or whatever. It just, even if I'm wide awake mentally, I'm not creative then. And so it doesn't work for me. Just like early morning doesn't work for you. Early morning works for me. So
But you're fun for us in the evening.
I'm very fun in the evening.
And
let's just say.
And I have to say, if your business plan does nothing else for you but teach you that you're not a morning person and you shouldn't try to be one to make other people happy, then good for you, because you need to make this business work for you. If it's not sustainable, you're going to quit. If you try to build some career that doesn't work into your life, you're not going to stick with it. Just a warning.
Very true. And I do think your long-term goals and your business plan, I think that's going to change every single year. Someday, as sad as it makes me feel, someday my girls are going to be grown and gone.
Don't talk about that today. Oh,
my last baby's going to be 18 in August.
Oh.
So life will look very different, right? So just like in our chat right now, I think life looks very different from, say, like Piper than it does from Teresa.
Poor Teresa.
Piper does have grandkids.
Yes, when the dust settles on Teresa's move, she's going to be 100% better. I know that.
And part of my business plan too, I had to acknowledge my strengths. That we're going to talk about Clifton strengths next week.
That'll be fun.
Becca Symes, but my number one strength is learner, and then intellection and input and ideation. They're all thinking strengths. And so I've been beating myself up for 3 years because I daydream and I get caught in these rabbit trails of learning things. And I realized I need to work into my business plan the time to fill my cup. I cannot output if I don't input. And I need that learning thing to input and to get inspired and to I got so inspired last night, and I was just watching this thing on world building science fiction, and I had all these ideas that just popped in my head. So the learning process for me sparks ideas and creativity. And so I need to put that time in my business plan so I don't have to feel guilty about the time that I spend daydreaming and watching lectures and all this other stuff.
Nice.
I'm so excited about Rebecca Syme. I watched just this morning one of her QuickCast podcast, and she was talking about input, which is my third, and I so resonated with it. I was like, yes, I'm a sponge, and then I gotta squeeze it out when I'm all done, and I totally get all of that. So I'm so excited to see what she has to say about all of our strengths working and how we work together as a writing group. So it's very exciting for next week.
Yep. Well, thank you, ladies, for that preview for next week's episode. So does anybody else have anything to say about goals before we move on to our backfeeding? Okay, well then let's do it.
Right. I'm so excited about this week.
Me too.
Okay. Jamie, you've been so quiet this episode, so you will read first, please.
All right. Well, I'll warn you, when I sat down to write this, my idea was to quickly churn out this story that's been hanging around in my head for a while. So unfortunately, all you get is the introduction because of the timer. I'm very sad, and hopefully you will be too, that is what happened. If I can find my documents. Sorry. Give me
We
2
all
more
said
seconds.
While you're doing that, before it started, we always generally dog whatever the prompt is. We're always like,
Always.
we like to blame Tina, especially when it's
Yeah.
5 words. She just goes to some place and gets a random list of words.
Randomwordgenerator.com.
Yeah,
Blame
and
them.
so we don't blame them. We blame Tina always. And so we were all kind of like, oh man. And then we came out of this, all like 3 out of the 4 of us were like, oh, I don't want to even do the podcast. I just want to start writing this new novel. Except Tina, who's like, no, this is not going to be a novel. So I'm so excited to hear everybody's today.
Hey, Jen, when it comes to the prompts that you don't like,
Yeah.
you got to blame it on something. Blame it on Contain. Yeah, yeah.
Oh boy.
I can't believe it's taken us over 100 episodes to have a Milli Vanilli reference.
All
Can
right,
we please make that a jingle somehow for something? I don't care
blame
what.
it on Contain. I love it because I'm not in trouble.
She's
So
used to it, so I know.
Look at Tina's reaction. We have to make a video of Tina reacting to me singing. And the perkier I can be, the better, because you just roll her eyes more. It's awesome. Okay, so anyway, I have to read the sprint now. Should I say the words? The words are available, inflation, insistence, royalty, and transition, which I think I used exactly one of these words. Here we go. From all available information, it appears they left in a hurry, sir. Peterson did not respond. He registered the fact, but only as a data point, nothing about the private addressing him. His calm voice, his efficient manner permeated the wall that was his concentration. Is that the way? He asked, walking before the answer came toward the heavy metal door someone had propped open. The whispers of privates milling around outside returned to tickle his cerebellum. A tunnel, indoors, like a mine shaft. Never saw anything like it, so dark in there. Thought I would die. Without a second thought, he stepped from the well-lit operations and control room into a hall so dark he almost stopped walking before Stubbins commanded a torch be lit. He kept on pressing into the darkness as the others scrambled into a formation that simultaneously illuminated his path, yet kept it free from stumbling privates. Not much further, sir, Stubbins said, falling into place next to Peterson when the formation was finally moving in an orderly manner through the tunnel. Peterson noticed none of this, other than the change from dark to light. His vision was focused, his mission singular. I must see them for myself. Down they went, the ramp turning in an unpredictable fashion until they reached another metal door. This one closed. Sir, Stubbins said, and then the 2 men only looked at one another. I've been briefed, Peterson said. Stubbins nodded, and they entered. The briefing Peterson received prepared him for many things: the solemnity of the environment beyond the door, the dim lighting, the stadium seating, and the enormous viewing window opposite. It had not, however, prepared him for what he saw on the other side of the glass. The material had been redacted, and he had fought for the right to the information it concealed, information he would later give his life in exchange for not receiving. 3, 2, 1.
What?
You're not going to tell us?
Not even joking. Can't tell you. Can't tell you.
Know?
No, because I know, and I was trying to write it, but I cannot tell you. It will just ruin it. Why would you read it if I tell you? It's the shattering moment. So,
are you turning this into a short story?
Yeah, because this I've been wanting to write. I thought I was writing it now, but it turns out it's longer than a sprint. Sorry.
So did you have this idea in your head, or just as you were writing?
Well, I knew this is an idea that's been in my brain to write forever. And then I saw the words and I'm like, I'm going to write that story now. And I just put that because that first word worked. I'm like, here goes the story. And so here it is. So this is what the story is. You craft words like no other. Permeated the wall of his consciousness, I think it was. Tickles his cerebellum. And then you got to I didn't even know cerebellum's the right part. Sorry. It was a sprint. I don't know either, but it was great. And then you got to the word torch. And I'm like, torch? Like I was somewhere else. And then you said torch. I'm like, is this historical? Like, I love how one word can set the entire stage, right? So I just want to throw that out there. Like that.
Or perhaps it's British because the British call flashlights torches.
It's British.
Oh, see? All right, there you go. Shell says, awesome, Jamie. Gigi says, Jamie, amazing. Piper says, wow. Yeah, so good. He'd give his life to not know. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry guys. I'm so excited about this concept too, but it's just, I mean, that's the whole story is what comes next, so I can't just blurt it out. Sorry, y'all.
No.
I forgot to listen for your word. What was the one word you used?
Information, I think.
Available.
It was like in the first sentence. Oh, available is in there? Awesome. The first available information.
Yeah, information information isn't a word. Inflation was, but yeah.
That's right, because from all available information, because I knew the setup was the guy was going to encounter this scenario, and I knew that he didn't know what was going on, and I knew that this was like a recently uncovered thing, and now here's the brass coming in to like take over, but he does not want this responsibility. Nobody would. So anyway, I'm excited to finish it.
Very impressive.
I'm excited to hear it when it's finished. Okay, Tina, let's hear from you.
Okay. So remember I told you this is sort of autobiographical and it has to do with what exciting thing happened today.
Okay.
So the morning sun squeezed through the gap at the top of the curtains, making a beeline straight for Tanya's eyes. She pulled the covers over her head and groaned, rolling away from the rude intrusion into her dreams. She had every intention of going back to sleep, but her bladder had other plans. At her bladder's continued insistence, she reluctantly pushed the covers back and slowly sat up. The chill in the room did little to help her transition to wakefulness. With one hand on the wall, she made her way to the bathroom with only one eye slightly open. Her joints crackled and popped, complaining loudly in agreement with not wanting to get out of bed. As she was washing her hands, trying not to look at her Medusa hair in the mirror, it suddenly occurred to her. It was the 29th of January. Today was the day she was set to receive her first royalty check from Amazon. Tanya flew into her office, opened her laptop, and hit the bookmark for her business checking account. She smiled a happy smile when she saw that her available balance had increased by $71.51. She wasn't rich by any stretch, but she also knew there was no need to worry about things like inflation. She'd have this money spent before the rude sun left for the day.
Yay!
I used all the words.
That's
awesome.
Congratulations, A.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks.
But B, I thought you had a camera in my bedroom this morning at first.
I don't get Medusa hair.
Mine can look pretty.
I get the big knots. That's what I get. I don't get the nice, fun little
things.
Since
naturally curly, like it literally sticks straight up on the top of my head. Like
it's cute. Your hair's cute.
Listen, we have all been on writing retreats together. I know what you all look like in the morning. You're all
awesome, Tina. I really enjoyed that, Tina.
Thanks.
Way to go. I didn't even the words just worked in there. I didn't even feel like you were trying.
Yeah, I forgot to listen for him. Okay.
Well, instead of saying that I had a deposit of $71.51, I put that the available balance increased so that I could use the word available. So there was a few things in there that I snuck in.
Yeah.
Teresa says, congratulations. Gigi says, descriptive suspense. Shell says, yay, so fun. And perfect description of that early morning. Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
If you are listening to this and you are too young to, or you're like you can't relate with what she said, you're just too young to be listening to us, probably.
Right.
We all can relate to that.
I feel like that whoever invented Rice Krispies was our age.
Yeah.
Like, in the morning, like snap, crackle, and pop is what you hear, right?
That's awesome.
All right. I guess custom insists that I go next. Okay. Are you ready?
Yes. So ready.
The inflation rate of this pump is not sufficient. Bob's insistence at being the eternal engineer made Maud's eyes roll almost out of her head. It's a bike pump, Bob. It only has one rate, I'm sure. Why don't you ask Jerry to borrow his electric pump? He's already told you it's available. Maud glanced at the pile of pool inflatables one last time before marching a few steps to the road. Her walking group was already waiting for her at the end of the alley, and Cheryl was already doing strange things to keep her heart rate up. Maud only had moments to join them before they moved on without her. Bob was still talking as she left, saying something about Jerry could never know Bob needed that stupid air compressor of his. When Jerry's grandkids came over to visit the first time after the arrival of the big wind Hurricane 2000, Jerry's inflatables were ready for use within minutes, and Bob didn't hear the end of it for the rest of the season. The sound of kids in the pool haunted him all winter long. Bob's gut wrenched hearing the telltale rattle from the...
No. Rhonda, the best is doing strange things to keep her heart rate up. Like, because you don't understand, I have walkers here, and I could just picture the end of my driveway, someone standing up there doing wackadoodle stuff to keep that heart rate up. I love it. I love it.
Every street intersection corner, there's always someone doing something weird. It's so funny.
It's awesome.
And I love that too, because you get to an age where it's like, you don't care people are looking. You know what I mean? Like, if you were a teenager or if a teenager was with you, Mom, stop. But like, when you're like, you know, bold and, you know, certain age and older, like, forget it. Who cares if people are looking?
Right. Rubbing and healthy. Yep.
I think I'm at that age almost, but only in public when my children are nearby so that I can embarrass them. Like, if I can embarrass my children, then I don't care if I get embarrassed. It's like the scale, right?
The most important part of being a mother is embarrassing your children.
It's a right. I've earned it.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Now we have earned the time to hear your story.
All right. So, hold on. Rhonda, loving your characters always.
Yeah.
And Piper says LOL. Yeah, that was great. Okay. So mine, I seriously am ready just to go write this novel now. Okay. I'm sorry, but Matthew is unavailable for comment. Matthew hesitated, his hand on the doorknob. On the other side of his bedroom door sat his agent and her entire crew of spin doctors, frantically trying to spin his latest misstep into something that would keep him in his fans' good graces. He didn't really like dealing with them today. Their constant insistence that he improve his image was tiring. Why couldn't he just play ball and everyone just ignore the rest of his life? He had done a pretty good job of ignoring it the past 10 years. I know you're awake. Dina's voice floated through the closed door. I can see your shadow under the door. Matthew sighed and opened it. Sorry, I was busy working on my autobiography. It's going to be a doozy. Are you going to pay me royalty on that book since I created most of it for you? Matthew feigned a pained look. You wound me, madam. To insinuate that I am anything less than what the public believes I am is really a shot in my self-esteem. The inflation of your self-esteem is not what you pay me for. Right. I pay you to negotiate the best contracts for me, not to show up unannounced at 8 a.m. and take over my dining room. Contracts are why I'm here, moron. She turned on her heels and stormed off toward the kitchen, where she slammed another pod into his Keurig. Nike pulled out. Matthew's slow saunter toward the living room sectional halted at that. What did you say? I'm sorry. Is the din of assistants fielding phone calls from reporters too loud for you? Let me say it a little louder. Dina balled her fist and screamed, Nike dropped you. That verbal sucker punch was enough to topple him, but he didn't let it show. I have other sponsors. Not for long. What do you mean? Weston called. They're putting you on the trading block. What? We're on our way to the playoffs. They can't possibly win the conference without me. There's no way they get rid of me. 3, 2, 1.
What did he do?
I don't know yet.
Oh, boy.
I don't know.
We'll have to read the book to find out.
I know it's
certainly you've built suspense. Good job.
Oh, good. Yeah, I already kind of know like what kind of like the loose storyline for this book. So I'm just like I'm so excited to get to it, but I gotta get through these other things, right? That's why the business plan is good for me. So I stay focused.
I know it's really hard. I got all over there about dangly this and sparkly that. My husband's like, you have a book to write.
Yeah. Jen, I really love hearing how this book is progressing. I like the direction it's going. I just can't wait to hear everything that's like in between that we've missed.
Yep. Gigi says, what has he done working poor Dina, right? Piper says, fresh bad boy. Yep. Nice setup, Shell says. Teresa just says, ooh. Piper says, ooh.
Okay, that's interesting that they made him a bad boy because for some reason I thought he was being traded because he like did something noble or good that people don't like and that he's being persecuted for it. And she's wanting him to cave and he's standing strong. Like that was what my setup was in my head. I don't know. So it's funny that everybody thought he was in trouble for being a bad guy. And I thought he was in trouble for being a good guy. Isn't that funny? So anyway, obviously you could go either way with it. That just goes to show how writers' brains are different.
Yeah, I do like that
Mhm.
premise though. That could be a different book though, because this
Mhm.
one's kind of already cemented in my mind what it's going to be. But
Mhm.
Mm.
he is definitely a bad boy, but kind of a misinterpreted bad boy. Like,
Mhm.
of course, I can't make him totally bad, right?
He's
Because
misunderstood.
he's misunderstood. Yes, in some ways, and really handsome, obviously.
I mean, can he help it if all these girls are throwing themselves at him?
I know. What's a man
It's
to
not his
do?
fault.
For
Genetic.
photo ops for their Instagram page. I mean,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
He doesn't know why he must be like that.
yeah.
Okay. So let's see. We started off talking about what we did last week. Now let's talk about what we're doing in the week coming up. So what is next for you, Jennifer?
Next for me is I am, like I said before, I am doubling down on my Phoebe book. And in the past, I've never used beta readers. Well, I kind of made a slight change with this book. I've actually enlisted somebody that I know is an avid reader of this genre, and I'm giving her pieces of it just to make sure for one more layer to make sure that I am on point with this book and that I'm not like, you know what I mean? So it's a little scary for me because I've never given somebody other than an editor or a very close writing group friend my writing at this stage. So I'll keep you guys updated to see how it goes. But I've given her like the first 10 chapters or so. And yeah, so next week, my plan is to get to the halfway point with this book editing, which means I'm going to have to spend probably some extra evenings. So we'll see how that goes because I'm not an evening person. But that's me. I'm editing. That's all I'm doing until I get through this book because it is a weight around my neck. And then once I get this book done editing, then I feel like I can open up and move on to my other goals.
All right. Oh, Tina, what about you?
Well, when my daughter called me after having just finished reading Lost, and she was crying and gushing at the same time, and she's got a master's degree in pastoral ministry, and she's got a bachelor's degree in children's ministry. And so she started talking about the spiritual things in my book that really touched her. And some of them just floored me. Like, I didn't even know it was in there.
Oh, wow.
You know, like I didn't do it on purpose. And so I have asked her, because of her insight and her connection to the Holy Spirit, to write a devotion to go along with Lost. This was partially motivated by the fact Jason Marsh had said he knew of 4 writing groups that were doing my book, or reading groups that were reading my book. So she said she'd pray about it, and then she went and told her husband what I had proposed, and he said, "Of course you're doing it." And so he is listening to it on Audible right now, and she's going to go back and read it slower, and they're going to collaborate together, and they are going to write a devotional. Amber's going to do the writing, but they are going to write a devotional to go with Lost, and I'm really excited about it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
We got
Jen, do you want to read some of the chat?
I'd love to. Piper says her what's next. I have a coaching call in 15 minutes from the Write Better Faster
Ooh.
course and plan to get the
Oh,
edits done this weekend. Also, I need to come up with a
Yeah,
title.
titles are tricky. Post some ones we can maybe vote.
Yeah. What's next? Finish January short story. The ending will be rushed, but I can fix it later, right?
Absolutely,
Always
Jill.
me.
You're
Always,
gonna do
always.
it too. You always do what you say. Good
Can't
for you.
edit a blank page.
Right. Teresa says, what's next? Morning motivation with Teresa Thomas, a live
Ooh.
productivity stream on YouTube from 6 to 8 a.m. Monday through Friday for writers, creatives, and anyone who wants to start the day with prayer and productivity. That's awesome.
yeah.
Love
I'll
seeing you
have
guys
to
do that
catch it
kind of
at
stuff.
10. Replay.
Yeah.
Just the replay, yeah.
What
Great.
about
Okay.
you, Rhonda? What's up with you? What's next for you?
What's next?
Okay.
Yeah.
What's next for me is this week I'm focusing on social media because I've got some advertising to do for our workbooks and that sort of thing. And then also I'm compiling scenes as they come in from my mom for our novella that's hopefully going to be out shortly before the end of the quarter. That's my goal, is to have it out by the end of the quarter. So I'm going to be working toward that every day. So that's my focus for next week. Jamie, what about you?
Well, my reader magnet for March is called Help Wanted, and that's relevant because I had to get it live now, so it'll be ready to give away later. So if you see it for sale, don't buy it anywhere. Okay. Help Wanted is a short story. You'll get it for free in March if you go over to writingshorts.net and sign up to my newsletter. If you do that, you'll also get my February giveaway, One Quiet Afternoon now, and then just hang around long enough and Help Wanted will come directly to your inbox. So just wanted to get everybody on board, www.writingshorts.net. Sign up now. And if you do it quick, you might be able to get all 3 of the books because And the Mom Ran Away with the Moon is still the giveaway for January. So hasten over there, writingshorts.net.
All right. Is there anything more to read in the chat, Jen, before we sign off?
No, lots of people like just encouraging each other, encouraging us. And yeah, so if you are listening to this as a podcast later, you might want to take some time and head on over to YouTube, check out our chat. We have some great people that show up every Friday, and we would love for you to come by and show up on a Friday live with us and join the conversation. Great Christian authors, very encouraging. It's a great community to be part of.
They have a lot of answers to this stuff that we don't too. And a lot of times we have to move on because we have to fit in so much information, but they're still talking. They really get into the meat of some of these topics. Our chatters are a fount of wisdom. We love them. They're great.
Yeah, and if for some reason you can't make it to the chat, you can always comment below the video and we will see it.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, good information, everybody. Thank you for a great podcast. I am inspired to do a couple more things, and I hope everybody else is too.
Me too, yeah.
So, if all hearts are clear.
Think they are.
All right. Then this concludes the Christian Indie Writers Podcast. So until next week, may your pen be prolific, your deadlines be met, and may all of your words honor Christ.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.